Welcome to the Highlights from Ukraine podcast, your daily audio summary of the latest news reported in the Ukrainian media. My name is Artem, and here is the news. 196 days less the Russian invasion of Ukraine. In his evening video address, President Volodymyr Zelensky informed that in next year's state budget, Ukraine plans to allocate more than 1 trillion hryvnia, $27 billion, to the security and defense sector next year. Zelensky stressed that it will be priority number one, but at the same time, state plans to maintain social expenditures. In particular, it plans to raise pensions for all retired Ukrainians. The president added that it will be necessary to reduce as much as possible all non-critical expenses of the state. All that does not help defense does not help the economic development of the country. Volodymyr Zelensky informed that Ukraine imposed sanctions against 606 members of the ruling elite of Russia. Those are members of the Russian Security Council, Parliament, and others. The European Commission reached a decision on the amount of the second tranche of macro-financial assistance for Ukraine, which will be 5 billion euros, reports Ekonomiczna Pravda. Now this proposal needs to be adopted by the European Parliament and the EU Council. After the start of the full-scale Russian invasion, the EU planned to allocate to Ukraine 9 billion euros in macro-financial assistance to help to stabilize the country's budget. Only 1 billion euros had been granted to Ukraine so far due to lack of agreement inside of the EU on another 8 billion euros. Prime Minister Denis Shmyhal thanked the European Commission for this timely decision. He expects that Ukraine will receive the remaining 3 billion euros of macro-financial assistance from the European Union by the end of 2022. Shmyhal added that negotiations had already begun on a new macro-financial assistance program for 2023. According to the Prime Minister, Ukraine will need support from the EU in the amount of 12 billion euros for 2023. The UN fact-finding mission plans to arrive in the occupied city of Olenivka, Donetsk region, where more than 50 Ukrainian prisoners of war were killed at the end of July, reports European Pravda. The UN official thanked Ukraine and Russia for their constructive approach and their preparation for this mission, and added that the UN counted on their continued support. On July 29th, the Russian media reported on the shelling of the colony in Olenivka, Donetsk region, where Ukrainian prisoners of war were kept. Propagandists claimed that there were at least 53 dead. The General Staff of Ukraine denied Russian accusations that the attack was carried out by the Ukrainian side. According to the General Staff, the Russians tried to hide the torture and murder of prisoners with an explosion. Ukraine needs to receive long-range weapons to reach a turning point in the war, reports Ukrinform. Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine Valery Zaluzhny and First Deputy Head of the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine Committee on National Security Mikhailo Zabrodsky wrote in a joint article that the maximum reach of Russian weapons is up to 2,000 kilometers, and for the Ukrainian armed forces it is actually limited to 100 kilometers by the range of missiles. They are convinced that it is quite possible to counter the enemy with ability to act in a similar way at a similar distance. Zaluzhny and Zabrodsky for the first time officially confirmed the infliction of a number of missile strikes on Russian airfields in Crimea. They said that bringing war to the Russian territory is an important factor in the change of way of war. Zaluzhny and Zabrodsky said that the only way to fundamentally change the strategic situation is to launch several successive and ideally simultaneous counterattacks by the Ukrainian armed forces during the 2023 campaign. The General Staff of Ukraine informs that Ukrainian forces successfully repelled enemy offensive attempts in the areas of Konstantinivka, Dibrivne, Grigorivka, Zaitseve, Mayorsk, Mykolaiivka, Druga, Pervomayske and Kamyanka, reports Unian. Air Defense Forces shot down 2 Su-25 aircraft, 2 helicopters and 5 unmanned aerial vehicles. The Air Force of Ukraine carried out more than 30 strikes against the Russian troops. According to the US Institute for the Study of War, Ukraine's counteroffensive in the Kharkiv region continues to be successful, reports Ukrainska Pravda. The experts assess that Ukrainian forces likely advanced at least 20 kilometers into Russian-held territory in the eastern Kharkiv region on September 7th, recapturing approximately 400 square kilometers of ground. President Volodymyr Zelensky said that now is not the time to name the settlements to which the Ukrainian flag returns in the Kharkiv region, but thank those warriors who fight there. Deputy Internal Minister of Poland Paweł Szefernaker informed that about 400,000 Ukrainian refugees in Poland have officially found jobs, reports Interfax Ukraine. According to him, out of 1.3 million Ukrainians who stayed in Poland for a longer period, over 500,000 are of working age. The deputy minister stressed that they have not taken a job from a Polish worker but supplemented the local labor market and additionally work for Poland's economic development. The Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine completely banned the export of coal, reports Slovo i Dilo. Earlier, Ukraine banned export of natural gas and oil. Our Patreon supporters get access to a cool new series on wartime life in Ukraine. To join the club, follow the link in the description below. We call on you to demand from governments of your countries to impose the toughest sanctions possible on Russia and its citizens to stop their invasion of Ukraine. Thank you.